It's getting interesting, Alex. Headline from the LA Times. Working at home may soon include a pay cut. I don't know what to think of this. I'm going to work my way through this one because I got thoughts all over the place on this thing. And I get what leaders might be thinking here. And I'm not so sure I disagree with it, but boy, oh boy, do I think it's risky. Let's break it down. Here's where we stand. About 30% of all paid workdays are still being done from home. Paid workdays are being done from home, up from 5% before COVID. So obviously we saw an explosion of remote work. And now there's a movement that is catching on abroad across the pond, according to British law firm Stevenson Harwood. They announced that employees could work full-time from home on the condition that they take a 20% pay cut. Providing my own sound effects today. That is substantial. You want to talk about a shot across the bow? That's it. This is not happening, at least widely reported enough to make this article from the LA Times, assuming they did their research, in the U.S. But I have heard rumblings of it. There's no question about it. We did see that if you chose to move from a metropolitan area for Google, for instance, we reported on this, I believe, last year. But if you were to move from a metropolitan area to a rural or suburban area where the cost of living was less, Google was saying, we're not going to pay you what you were paid before, or there's going to be a cost of living reduction because it doesn't cost as much to live in the metropolitan area. So that was a thing that happened, and Google announced that. So I've seen that. Not so dramatic as, boom, hey, you can work remote, but if you do, we're taking 20% of your paycheck. That's a sizable chunk. The Working From Home Project found that 4 in 10 employers plan to use remote work as a way to ease overall wage growth pressures. Now, that does not necessarily mean that they would slash salaries of existing employees. For example, what they would do is they would try to fill new openings with remote workers in cheaper markets, okay? So now that is an interesting shift, and I think that makes a lot of sense on the surface. But a significant 14% of employers said they were planning to cut wages for teleworkers in lower cost areas, and 17% said they were undecided. Now, here's my takeaway on this. As I said, I certainly understand that if we as a leadership structure in an organization go, you know what, we did the remote thing for a while, we want to go to a hybrid thing, or we want to go to everybody coming back to the office. If that's what we decide, then we gotta do it. And we go, this is what it is. And as a result, we're happy for you to stay remote because we want everybody in. We will allow for remote options. We're not going to pay as much because you're not commuting, you're not in the office, you're not in a higher cost area of living, whatever your reasons are. I understand that. I understand the thinking behind it, but I would also say if somebody decided, I go, hey, it's your call, but I got to tell you as your advisor, that's risky. It's really risky and it's demoralizing. And here's why. Let's take that British law firm. They told people, and there was a certain amount of people that wanted to work from home. And so you think about the emotion involved in that sentence, the first half. All right, hey, we're going to allow you to work from home. And then you say, but you got to take a 20% pay cut. Ooh. And what you have just done there is it's like a gag gift. It's like me coming in and handing Joe, hey, Joe, I got you a present today. And it's all wrapped nicely. It's got a nice bow on it. Looks like a normal gift. Joe goes, all right. Yeah, what's the deal? He's excited. Then he opens it up, and it's some gag gift. It's a salt shaker from my kitchen table or what? It's nothing. It's like, what? You just jacked with my emotions. That's what this is. Hey, we're going to allow you to work from home, but you got to take a 20% pay cut. That doesn't end well. They're not going to stay with you long term. And again, I'm not saying your decision is right or wrong, folks. I'm commentating right now to say that the risk is you're going to make a leadership decision and you need to plan that when you make a decision like that, they're going to leave you because that's something they probably won't recover from because it feels like a bait and switch. and they're the ones that want to work from home anyway. And given the world's psychology and where we are and the type of jobs we got, I think a lot of people are willing to leave. We've seen the data that says they are. And I think when push comes to shove, some of them may put at risk their income because you've already told them you're going to take a 20% hit. So I think you got to be careful with that one. That one's risky, but I understand. Draw the line in the sand, leaders, and be okay if people leave you. That's the point I'm making. All right. Now a story from Inc. magazine. Remote workers are wasting more than an hour a day on productivity. Theater. So they're faking it. They're acting productive. And when I first read this, I was like, that's pretty good. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's not surprised this is happening at all. What am I talking about? So they surveyed 2,000 knowledge workers in the U.S. and the U.K., and a killing time at work report found that online workers are behaving too much like cubicle workers of decades past. Duh. Just because somebody's in a cube doesn't mean they're not wasting a bunch of time. We all do it. I'm not a bunch of time. I tell you, I don't waste a bunch of time, but we've all been known to sit there and 5 minutes of scrolling. You're like, oh, crap, I could be doing my job, and I'm scrolling, looking at some stupid cat video. I want to read from this report because this is startling. The dramatic workplace shifts of the pandemic gave us a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reshape how we work. We could have restructured work to be asynchronous, allowing us to build work around our lives, but we failed. Now the research shows we're falling back into old habits, ones that could have been cast aside when we had a chance. So what's this look like? Remote workers joining Zoom meetings they know are worthless, responding to emails at strategically selected hours, or other forms of being ostentatiously online to convince colleagues they're working long hours. Well, that's brilliant, right? You're a remote worker and you haven't done jack squat for 4 hours. You hop online to answer 5 emails at 8 o'clock and they go, huh, Nathan's burning the candle at both ends over there. Way to go, Nathan. Hey, man, take a break tomorrow. You worked hard today sending that. Those are great emails at 8 o'clock. Well, it hasn't worked since 2. I mean, that's what's happening. And listen, we've reported on this show, people are holding down 2 full-time jobs because of this kind of stuff right here. So what does that lead to? So this kind of digital presenteeism, they're saying, eats up 67 minutes of the average remote worker's day, wasting time just trying to look productive. Now, you combine this with 81% of people believe they're more productive when they have more flexibility over work, but they're abusing it. So now you got leaders going, all right, I'll let you do remote work, but I'm going to monitor you. Remember the story we shared of the lady who got up from her computer in the kitchen to cook a meal, and the computer logged her out? So the snap reaction is, all right, you really want to work remote, but we think you're doing this kind of crap. We don't trust you. There's no credibility or trust built between leader and worker. So now we're going to monitor you like you're a child. And so that's an overreaction from the company. So what does it do? It's like the worst of both worlds colliding. A worker not being responsible and honorable and good stewards, and then bosses acting like, the secret police of a dictator, monitoring every move you make. Every step you take, I'll be watching you. It's like, hey, what's going on? I don't want Sting for a boss. Nobody wants that. And so that's the snap reaction. And it's dangerous. And again, I think it's got to be less about, I think the future for leaders to figure this out is it's got to be less about the amount of time you work and where you work. And it's got to be about real measurable results, which will dictate the time and take care of the rest.